welcome to Satsang. I have to start it over again, but anyway, I'll continue for where I left off. Now, I've been getting a lot of emails lately asking me why am I stuck? And these are people who have been following the path for many, many years. And they're still the same. So today, it came to me what the secret is. So we'll discuss that. Okay. Now, I feel that there are about 90 to even 95% of spiritual seekers in the category of idealists. They want to feel good because they're suffering and they want a way out of suffering. So they want to feel good, but when an emotional pain comes, they want to escape it. They want to run away from it. Okay, not face it. And so they keep asking, why aren't I changing? I'm doing so much work. I am meditating, I am praying, I am listening to seminars, I'm taking courses, etc. So this is devoted to these people. Okay? Not so much to you, because you all look quite aware. Quite. Okay. Now, like I was saying, that there are two types of spiritual seekers. One are for between 90 to 95% idealists. They have an ideal, what an awakened human being really is. They do not realize that an awakened being is more ordinary than the ordinary, because they live ordinary life, you know, more fully. So anyway, so they're idealists, and they strive towards a goal. But there's one thing that they all have: they want to change. They want to wake up. Okay. And the one thing that I say to all people who want to change: don't try to change, because it's all about being. To be, you see. So okay. Also, one thing that they all have, which is the secret we're going to discuss today, is called self-intimacy. These people who are stuck are totally afraid of self-intimacy. For example, I just had a recent email from a young woman, and she said to me, Burt, she said, I love your videos, I love listening to them, but there's always a lingering fear. And that fear says to me, what if he says something I don't want to hear? Okay? So this is what self-intimacy is, okay? Getting in touch with who you really are. And so we have to know the difference between awareness and thought. And once you know those two, then everything starts becoming clear. I remember that one realization that I've had is that I am a human being. The human is thought. The being is awareness. And what makes the difference is that when we identify with a thought, now this is what is happening with people who get stuck, and they suffer so much because this is what takes place. Well, the moment you identify with a thought, which most people do, that thought becomes real to you. The moment a thought becomes real to you, it becomes an emotion. An emotion becomes a sensation in the body, you see? And it triggers the emotional body. So we call it the feeling body, the emotional body. Now, I believe in psychology, or they've called it the inner child, the feeling body. So what happens is that when you are not happy with yourself, the way you are, you want to change, you said, I want to heal. The moment you say, I want to heal, you offend the feeling body, because the feeling body, the inner child, is saying, I am not okay. So the inner child feels, I am not okay as I am. So what happens, and that's why people get stuck, is that they tell themselves, I am not okay, I have to be okay. The more you say, I have to be okay, the more you're aggravating the situation, saying you're not okay. And so you create this inner child conflict, and the inner child begins to relive the first 6-7 years of its life. Now, as you probably know, the first 6 or 7 years of our life on this earth with a new body, we developed characteristics, tendencies, imagination, everything else from our parents, conditioning, environment, etc., etc. That stays with us for the rest of our lives unless we meet it. You see, as a matter of fact, Enneagram study, I don't know whether you're aware of the Enneagrams. You're aware of the Enneagram?
I think I've seen it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, we all have a certain Enneagram. These Enneagrams are that's not who you really are, but these are the tendencies and beliefs and that you actually think you are, which you are not. So, so one of the things about intimacy is that intimacy is not just physical, which is sexual, which is okay, which is sex is beautiful. It is not mental either, and it is not emotional, although it goes into the emotion. But the most intimate, life-changing, transforming self-intimacy is when it comes to seeing thought as a thought. Wow, that's such an incredible thing. So later on, maybe we could all join and explore it, okay? How to see a thought as a thought, and then the resulting of that, because that is what brings a transformation. Anyway, now what I would like to do too is that I grabbed just a few very short letters from people, and you know, so we're going to see as we read them how people are actually afraid of self-intimacy. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to know about self-intimacy? This is very clear what self-intimacy is. Okay, it is actually getting to know yourself as a spirit. So for example, you said that you do Vipassana. Okay, Vipassana is a great way to get in touch with your inner world. How you think, how you feel, how you look at things, and you see this whole movement. When you begin to see this whole movement as nothing but imagination, it has no reality at all. You know, one of the things that I say of my clients, and I've been saying it to myself a lot too, because I get caught, is that there is no thinker. And I remember the first time that Eckhart Tolle wrote his famous book, The Power of Now. The first thing he said is that there is no thinker. But that is the hardest thing for people to understand, because thought is all that they have left. But thought, when you believe it to be real, always becomes negative. Did you know that? Thought always becomes negative when you think about a thought. I'm not talking about creative thinking here. Now that's a different process altogether. Creative thinking comes from awareness. Okay? Comes from intuition, comes from the heart. You feel something so totally with love that all of a sudden comes the energy of knowing and feeling. Yeah. So the process of intimacy is like this. Those of you listening, you could just become very, very still. Now you could close your eyes or not, it doesn't matter, and just begin to see that even as you try to listen to your thoughts, there are thoughts that are coming that says, oh, we're going to do a technique now. I wonder if it will work. I wonder how good I will do it. I wonder how well I am able to see my thoughts. And as you say, how well I am able to see my thoughts, that's a thought. But you don't see it as a thought because you are thinking. You see? So this is what is happening all the time. We're thinking, and we don't know we are thinking, because in the process of thinking, we are trying to find the thought. Okay, so this is very, very subtle. But as you become aware that everything that is going through your mind has no reality whatever, even the world that you experience out there is imagination made real. That doesn't mean that things are not there, of course they are, but they all came from imagination, the creative process of mind, which manifests. But the most beautiful thing is that we are being. Okay? So therefore, this is how self-intimacy happens. Now you begin to notice that everything is a thought. Everything that you think is a thought. Everything, because thought, incidentally, just so that we make it all clear for people listening to this video, thought is never now. Okay? Now is silence. Thought is always either future or past. Okay? Thought cannot experience the timeless now, the timeless moment. So therefore, when you become aware of the thought is always trying to get you away from here. You begin to think about something that's past or something in the future. The past, we call it regret, we call it depression. The future, we call it fear, we call it anxiety. Okay? But the now itself is, just is. See? And the moment we are able to see the thoughts themselves begin to evaporate. How? By doing the next thing. Now, are you listening how we become aware of thought? Everything is thought. Everything. Everything. Everything that you experience outside is a thought. Even the body is a thought. I didn't know that until, because physiotherapy was my work before I took this work, this type of thing, and everything is a thought manifested. As a matter of fact, the body is fluid. The body is a moving energy. The body is made up of trillions and trillions of cells. You see, which are intelligent, of course, DNA, which are a memory, but still, it is still the movement of mind. Now, this is what you do in self-intimacy. Are you ready for this? Because this is going to transform you. As you are thinking, everything is a thought. Are you with me so far? Who is aware of the thought? Who is aware of the thought now? Feel it. Let's explore it. And this is how to break free from conditioning, from repeating the same thing over and over again, from stuckness. Who is aware of those thoughts? Anybody would like to share?
Nobody. There just is an awareness of that is not identifiable as someone or something. It just is aware. It's like life being aware.
Life being aware. Do you know that you are life being aware?
Mm.
That's called presence. Be beautiful. Well, you're always beautiful. So when you become aware of the thoughts, you're stumped. And this is beautiful that nobody said anything, actually. Because whatever you say cannot be put in words. Right? But it's a presence. See, that's who you are. You see. Now, if you feel this now, don't you feel a greater awakening? A greater surge of knowing who you are? You see? But first, there has to be the point of knowing that you are not the thinker of your thoughts. Thoughts come from the past, they come from the collective mind, they come from the environment, they come from upbringing, they come from people around you, they come from so many, many sources. But the moment you make thought your own, the moment you think you are thinking, you are lost. You see? And then the thinking mind says, I am suffering, I want to change. And that's why we become stuck. Because instead of looking at the thought as a thought, we want to change that. We want to be in control. You see? And the moment you do that, you're really got caught in the mire. You're in a quicksand, you see, at the moment. You get sucked in. Because you are presence. There's nothing to fix, there is nothing to reach, there's nothing to know, there's nothing to understand, there's nothing to attain, there's nothing to accomplish. There's only to see that all there is God. It's oneness, it's essence, it's source. You see? and you begin to see that everything. But the paradox is this, that first you see the thought as a thought, and then comes that which separates the man from the boys and from the women and the girls. What separates is that you become aware of that thinking as a thought. Who is aware? And the moment you realize that I am aware, but who is this I? Because it's not a body, it's not a mind, it's not a process, it's not something that begins and ends. So therefore, my God, I am life itself. I am presence itself. I am being itself. You see, I am observing, and this very experiencing of looking at what is as is what awakening is. You see? So awakening is nothing fantastic. It's simply stopping the dreaming of your thinking system, which is conditioned. And then that doesn't mean that you change so completely that you break the everyday life. You still go the same way. You're still the same person. You're still the same personality. But what changes is you see that there is really no person, even though being a person. Playing words, eh? Okay. So what I'd like to do is maybe, how about if we take these and explore, okay? Would you like to take one and read it loud? And then we see what is happening here. These are just few emails written to me, and I grabbed a few, and then I thought, okay, we'll just look at these, how they relate to the topic.
I loved your last 2 satsangs. Sometimes it's hard for me to truly listen with my heart, since my ego is afraid of being told what it doesn't want to hear.
Oh yeah, this is the one that I remembered. Right. Okay, that's the fear of self-intimacy. Okay, afraid to look at truly who you are, because you're not really looking. Because some people think, if you're afraid, look at the fear. And the moment you say that to a person, they'll say, oh my God, I cannot look at my fear, because if I look at my fear, the fear is going to get worse. It's the other way around. If you look at a fear, you find there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's just the word fear. You see? But fear is that energy that doesn't look at itself, because it's a future thing. Did you know that fear cannot happen in this moment? Cannot. Anxiety can. Okay? Because the fear itself is a fear of something that's going to happen. So that feeling that something is going to happen creates an anxiety in the body, in the now itself. So all you need to do is simply don't change anything. Get in touch with the emotion in the body. Get what is happening to the body. Be one with it. And as you become with it and start to relax the body, you'll find that the fear, you see it as nothing. Which, of course, it really was that. Yeah. So in that particular case you just read, yeah, that's the one. That's fear of intimacy.
Another one?
Sure, okay, yeah. If anybody would like to grab one or read, yeah.
On your videos you say that we are all love, and I believe I am love. I still don't understand what makes me so sad and helpless.
What is your feeling of this? What is he saying? He says, I am love, but what makes me so sad? Feel it about what we just covered.
Depression of the past?
Could be, but the point is that he knows he is love, or she knows, doesn't matter. See? So they know they are love. If you know you are love,
There is
he has a belief
system,
and his belief structure is that I am love. So he's looking for love as an object that he can experience. And because that's an impossibility, he's sad and helpless. And actually, if he went into his helplessness more, he might understand what that love is.
Beautiful. Beautiful. See, that's what self-intimacy is, right? Instead of saying, why do I get like this? Why do I still feel sad? You see, to get in touch with it, go into directly of the moment you look at a negative, it stops being negative.
Yeah.
The negativity is nothing more than a resistance of the mind. Okay? Something that you are resisting and it becomes negative. But the moment you accept it, you look at it, you say, I'm going to learn from this,
Yeah.
then it changes.
If he could totally accept his helplessness,
That's right.
then love would be there automatically, just like
Right,
that.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Mm.
Burt, does he know he's love?
Well, this is it, you see, this is it. If he knows he is love, then he also knows that this very being that he is, this very looking itself is love. So therefore love itself, you don't become victim,
Yeah.
you see, to negative things. That doesn't mean they don't happen. The energy, you could get up in the morning, astrologically is not the best time for you and you could have low energy. But that doesn't mean that you are a victim of it. You can still raise your energy. For example, there are techniques. I do Qigong every morning and I find that no matter how I feel, even if I had a heavy meal and I get up in the morning and I drag myself, you know, and the moment I start Qigong, and I start the breathing and stretching, immediately I begin to feel a whole new energy. You see? So knowing you are love is not, like you said, it's not something. Love is not something. Love is being itself. If right now you accept yourself fully, if right now he says, this is what is, you know, and you don't relate to yourself as being this or being that, I'm just here, I just am. That very being itself is the love.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, I think everyone, you know, because everyone is seeking for love. So
Everybody's
intuitively,
seeking.
people know that
Mhm.
love is their true nature. But we're looking in the wrong direction,
Right,
looking in the direction of objects or experience.
exactly.
And experience is
Exactly.
another object.
Right.
And I think to take that one step further, when you objectify it, there's separation.
That's right.
And
Because
the
you
sadness,
objective
the sadness is really
exactly.
the separation.
Then it's no
Right.
longer you.
Yeah.
Love is you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
There's an old story
Mhm.
where a king asks his wife, "Who do you love the most?" And she stops and she thinks,
Mhm.
and she says, "Myself."
Mhm.
And the king smiled.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Wise king.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because if you love yourself, how can you not love anybody?
Well, you just embody love.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
Embody
yeah.
love, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Do we have any more?
They don't have many similarities, don't they?
You're looking at the juicy ones?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. You know, that touches me too. Oh, well, here's one. How do I let go of the fear and anxiety I feel?
Don't.
Right.
I mean, the letting go is part of the creation of that anxiety
Yeah.
and fear. So that whole thing of trying to separate the illusionary self from that is that whole quicksand dilemma.
Mhm. Mhm.
So being with what is, you can see that it's not what you think it is.
Right.
It is, you know, the Buddhists say it's just stimulus, but even that's like a trip of a sort, because in reality, it's the presence of anything is magnificent,
Yes.
and that,
Yeah.
and then there is no up, down, here,
Right.
there.
This is what happens with people who get stuck. They're seeking for joy, but they're denying their sadness.
Mm.
They do not realize that until you experience sadness fully can you know joy. You see? And then the two become one. Thought and awareness become one. You see? That is the beautiful thing.
You know, there's an interesting thread that goes through all of these questions. And it's kind of like, I'm trying to be over here, but I'm here.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm stuck because I think I'm supposed to be someplace else. And the stuckness is just not being able to be where you are.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
you know, and that, it seems like there's,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I think it's
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
it's also trying to be other than you are, which is totally ridiculous.
Right.
But there is the thought process innately, it disconnects you from your true being.
Which one did you read?
And so you're chasing your tail in that, so you can't sink into your true being,
Mhm.
because you're busy trying to be something else, which is just another thought.
Exactly, which is another thought, right? And also you're denying your true nature at that point, right? And that's why it prolongs our pain, you see. We don't, yeah.
So when you say you need to experience sadness to experience joy, so going through life is just like a dance sort of between the two of them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you don't deny anything that what is. What is what is.
Yeah.
See, there's only now. And to be here now with whatever is, you'll always come back to joy though.
Yeah.
But not by trying to get back to joy, by seeing that nothing is separate from that presence which you are. And when you experience it fully,
Mm-hmm.
you are that very flower itself of that moment, you see. What happens with us, we go back and forth, trying to control, trying to overcome, trying to, you see, change. And all we need to do is experience and to be, right?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. Total acceptance, right? Yeah. Is there anything else?
But how do I feel love in myself or loved when I don't feel love in myself or loved? It is my heart that hurts. If I'm truly loved and I feel that I am, how do I live in that feeling? How do I stop the hurt in my heart? That's not a thought, it's a feeling.
First of all, that's a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, he calls it, that's not a thought, that's a feeling. You see, thought becomes an emotion, emotion of energy, which of course it reflects in the body, in the emotional body, in the feeling body, right? It's a sensation. Yeah.
Marie and I had dinner and we were talking about some of these ideas, and we were talking how when you're doing spiritual work, you start to find a place inside yourself that knowing comes, but you can't know it. It's just the knowing is there. And with her, it's kind of like she's in her head.
Yes,
And you can't know from that spot.
that's right.
And so that's really the first understanding, you know, when you know that you can't know from that place that our mundane reality is,
Right.
you know.
But some people don't know the difference between head and heart.
Yeah. No,
So,
well, yeah.
You know, so what is the difference between head and heart? Can we define it very simply? Because the head is thinking all the
Yeah,
time.
and the heart's
all
feeling.
The time. And there's nothing wrong with thinking, you know. But the more we try to stop the thinking, the heavier the thinking becomes, naturally.
Isn't
The
it?
person wants
heart
to
is
stop the hurt. You know, it's all about stopping the hurt
Yes,
instead of being and accepting the
And
hurt.
instead of-
and then
that's right,
just
being
it
the
will
hurt.
dissolve.
And also the mistake that's so easy to make, seeing love as a feeling.
hmm
So making an experience out of love. Love is a feeling, or love is an emotion.
that's right, that's right.
Therefore, is an experience in
That's
time.
right, that's right. See, the word love is so powerful because it lacks any definition,
Yeah.
any explanation.
Yes, it's almost
You know,
impossible.
that this is why the word is, you know,
Yeah.
is so powerful, just is, yeah.
So when you ask what the difference is between heart and head, the first thing that came to me is the heart is silent.
The heart is
The
silent,
heart is quiet and silent.
that's right.
It's beautiful.
And accepting
That's its
of
wisdom, that its clarity, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
In some ways, the head is never present in the now, and in that silence, the sinking is it just keeps going.
Mhm.
So one is the waves on top of the ocean being blown by the wind of the mind,
Mhm.
and the other is the pebble of awareness that just keeps dropping deeper and deeper and deeper.
Very nice.
That's right, yeah. That's the
I-
beautiful thing, it's infinite. Right?
I think that, too, the head it's dualistic, it's ego. You know, it's this false sense of self. And the heart is where you tap into that universal oneness of being, where you're just connected to everything.
Yeah. So this is where it creates the fear and people feel stuck.
Yeah.
Because it always leads to the fact that I am not a person. I am a presence. And that is very scary to most people. Because it means to tell me that I don't exist.
Yeah.
You see?
So,
As a matter of fact, you not only
if they
exist,
do,
but your
right?
existence itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Sometimes people think that, oh, I'm not worthy of the best love, or I'm not worthy of enlightenment, or something like this. The fact that you exist is worthiness enough. You know, because existence never makes a mistake. Because it's all part of the whole. See? The fact that you appear means that you are awareness itself. Yeah, the infinite being. Hmm. Do we have any more?
Here's one. I've tried witnessing too, and I experienced a moment of pure bliss where I felt as if I were the trees and the leaves and the blades of grass and all the animals and people. It was like I was them and they were me, like the universe was me. But then I recoiled from that experience, not because it was bad or I was afraid of it, because I'm afraid of the people who don't feel that way, who've never witnessed before. I'm afraid if I let go and let the experience of witnessing wash over me, then these people will take advantage of me and hurt me, which I know is an idea thought up by the ego. How is that possible?
There are many people that think like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Because I'm going to be different then, you see. If I let the witnessing take over, then I'm going to be so different, people think I'm weird.
and they'll sort of take advantage of
So they take advantage of me.
And yet, who's that me now that he's talking about? It's like,
Yes, yeah, right.
It's the
Yeah.
new old me.
Yeah.
You know? It's that.
People can only take advantage of you. They cannot take advantage of is
Yes.
the presence itself.
Which is what the person seemed to understand.
Right, yes.
But then there was the but. The fear
Uh-huh.
that, yeah.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Another one?
Yes, please, yeah. Yeah.
I've also been thinking about what you said about the ego, and was wondering if all problems in this world originate from a person believing their ego is real and that they are separate. If this is the case, and it is also true that most, if not all, people are looking to rid their lives of suffering, why are so many people afraid of reflecting on their ego and committing to ego death? I understand that ego death is terrifying, but if it's a necessity and perhaps the only step between us and happiness, then why don't more humans take the leap of faith?
Mm-hmm. Why? Why don't more people take that leap of faith?
Well, if
They-
we-
Go ahead.
oh, that's fine.
They believe that there's something to kill.
There's something other than
Yeah,
no, right?
so no wonder it's terrifying. They believe that there's something to kill that's real, and that real thing was them. So, you know, they go, okay, I can commit Harry because they haven't seen behind the curtain. They haven't seen that the ego is not, and seeing that there is no killing the ego. The ego dissolves by itself.
That's right.
and
It dissolves by itself. You never do anything, right?
So that struggle of
Yeah.
pulling out the sword and let's get that nasty old
Yeah,
ego
yeah.
is
Yeah.
is just a whole other
Yes.
trap.
The question is the big question, because first of all, most people in the world don't even think about it. Secondly of all, in relationship, that the whole collective agreement that all of this is real is very powerful, very, very
Yeah,
powerful.
very
And
powerful.
even as a teacher of mine once said, even the illusion, even when you have a feeling or that it's an illusion or you believe it's an illusion, the illusion asserts itself very, very strongly. Samsara is a very strong assertion.
Uh-huh.
And then when it goes a step further, it's much like Jerry said, the belief still that there's
Yes.
someone here who has to be destroyed.
Yeah.
It's going to be destroyed. And the ego recoils from that.
It's right over there.
The power of the illusion is very, very strong.
It's very strong.
Very
Yes.
strong.
And even when we call it an illusion, we still think of it as a title. It's an illusion.
Yes,
But it's still something.
Yes. I was reading an account with the Buddha in his late 70s. He was walking with Ananda and he said, Ananda, Maya still tries to get
Uh-huh.
power of it.
The power of it, yes, yes.
For some reason.
Yeah. Even when we call it an illusion, we still make an illusion as something.
To something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Okay. Hello, dear Burt Harding. I hope you are fine. I have a question. We are not supposed to regret or blame ourselves, and always we must love ourselves. So here my question arises. What if we kill somebody? Here what should be our reaction? Just we must forgive and let it go? It is really a big confusion for me. So in case your answer is yes, then will it not be added to our karma? My assumption about karma is that when we don't forget, our karma starts happening. Is it true? Thanks for being beside us. Your presence is very important and useful in our life.
Okay. Could you read the first couple of lines? Because there was a contradiction there.
I know.
Yeah.
I have a question. We are not supposed to regret or blame ourselves, and always we must love ourselves. So here
Right.
my question arises. What if we kill somebody?
Right, stop there. Okay. Would a person who loved themselves kill another? So the question is redundant. You see? It's just the mind with more games, with more, with more what if. That is not possible. When you have love in your heart, you cannot hurt another. Because you'll be hurting yourself. It's yeah. Are there more?
Hello, Burt. Sorry it has been so long, but I just wanted to thank you again for responding to my emails. I loved your last 2 satsangs.
Oh, I think we read that.
We did that one.
Did we do that one? Okay.
Oh, I should have gathered more.
I have a question about the one I read. What about, so if this person did kill someone, I guess they're really worried about the karma.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, see, one thing what all human beings carry with them, and this is something I discovered in my hypnotherapy more than anything, is that everybody carries guilt. A very subtle form of guilt.
Yeah.
There's a feeling I'm not good enough, I've done something wrong, It could be our religion, upbringing, environment, Religions have instilled in us the idea of sin, of hell, of devil, of punishment. God punishes, and my goodness. So the idea of love, just pure unconditional love, is something that blows the mind away of the ordinary human being, and yet it's so beautiful.
The whole idea of karma still lies in that story timeline
Mm-hmm.
of, action, response,
Action, response, right. Action, reaction, right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Duality. Okay, right.
I have got. Hello, Burt. Hey, Burt. Lately, I have had a lot of emotional pain, which has been triggered by things my wife has said to me. If this appears, should I do the visualization there and then, or should I only do it once a day? I really want to get to the cause of why it is happening and what beliefs I have that are causing it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much, Daniel.
Let's explore that, because that is very common one. People getting hurt very easily. Why do we get hurt? Especially somebody that we love. As a matter of fact, the more you love someone, the more they hurt you. Okay, why is that?
Because they're not living up to what your expectations of them are?
Yeah, but why does it hurt us so much when they say, oh, you're selfish, you're being like this, you're being like that?
Because you want them to be different.
Okay, but why does it hurt so much?
It hurts as much as you are attached to those people.
Yeah, the more attached you are to those people, the more you get hurt. Yeah, but why?
Because you're vulnerable?
Yes, yes, but why are you vulnerable?
There's a place inside of you that questions the truth of that because you don't know who you are, and you think that that image and that personality may be you, and if that is true, then they're ripping your heart out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not where your real heart lies. But that is where your sense of yourself lies. And so if there's truth in that, or if they even think there's truth in that, you think that it is an attack on your essential being,
Mm-hmm.
which it is not.
It goes back to that. Yes. Yes.
But when you're in the swamp that's up to your ass in alligators, it's hard to remember you came to drain the swamp.
Right, yeah.
So when that's coming at you, the ego fight for that survival.
Exactly. See, no matter how guilty we feel, no matter how low opinion of ourselves we have, we still get hurt because in us we still want to be right, we want to be good, we want to be loved.
Yes.
See, that is our initial
Desire.
drive, because we do not realize that's because who we are. So from our hurts, if we listen to them, we begin to discover who we really are too. Because all hurt is leading to that.
Doesn't it come back to this sense that we think there's an I that's getting hurt?
The I that's getting hurt, yes.
Yeah, there's this identification with self,
Yes.
and we have this image in our mind of who it is, and it's you get defensive, you feel you have to protect yourself, you feel the separation,
That's right.
and it's like
That's right. So you're protecting an idea of who you think you are, because ultimately you want to be good, you want to be this.
It even comes back one step farther, is that we're thinking that person hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Only I hurt myself.
Right, right.
And so, it's so often, like in relationship, it's like one partner is trying to change the other partner, or they're upset, and then you feel bad, but you don't have to own that. It's like they're suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to suffer because they're suffering. When they're suffering, I need to give them that much more love.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's taking ownership with how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so often we don't take responsibility for taking ownership how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
We let things hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
We react to things. And I think when we start to take ownership, then we stop reacting and by stop reacting when we don't feel heard, and then we naturally act, oh, that person over there, I can see clearly, you know, that person is suffering, they need more love than the person who's happy. And yet,
Exactly.
you know, so it's really taking responsibility. Again, it's what you were saying about that self-intimacy. You know, when we really get to the level where we take intimacy, or self-intimate, we take responsibility for how we're feeling. And when we do that,
and taking responsibility, because many people have raised questions about that. They said, well, if I take responsibility for my fear, my goodness, that is such a heavy burden. But it isn't, because responsibility is a very beautiful, playful thing. Responsibility, the ability to respond in the moment to what is. That's true responsibility. Was that? It is freedom. Yeah. So actually, knowing true responsibility, real responsibility, is freeing yourself from that entanglement. From that.
It's so interesting to see how people have things wired backwards. I remember a story about someone seeing a monk, and they said, was it hard to renounce the world? And he said, it's not me who is renouncing, it's you. You know, the person who gets caught up in the mundane is the person who is not renouncing. The seeker on the path who has given everything up.
Right. We see the opposite. Yeah. We always see the opposite. Yes. Actually, spirituality requires no work at all. No work at all. It is being. By golly, the moment it struck me, I am a being playing the role of Burt. Oh, so freeing. I don't need to do anything. Being is the key, you know.
That's the key.
Yeah. We always think of work, like the Course in Miracles talks a lot about forgiveness as the major thing. And we think that we have to forgive. But then they say that forgiveness is realizing that there's nothing to forgive. You see, it is seeing it as it actually is. It becomes total forgiveness. Because there's nothing to forgive. See? But that's true forgiveness. Yeah. So, was that clear about self-intimacy? It was, wasn't it? Is there anything to explore before we...
You said something earlier that was very interesting. You said, all thought leads to negativity.
Yes.
And I found that very interesting, but I didn't quite follow.
Let's follow that. That's very good point. That's very good point, because most people won't understand that. You see, people like to think. And they're always saying, oh, let me think about it.
Yeah.
You see, and if you are a good salesman and somebody says, let me think about it, you're sure you lost the sale. So in the same way, teaching people about truth, don't give them a time to think, but to feel. Okay, to feel the truth of something. Now, why is thought always leads to negativity, and negativity is resistance to truth? Let's follow it, please, because this is so beautiful, and those of you listening to this video, do the same. Why all thoughts lead to negativity? Okay, feel it out. Thought cannot exist in the moment. Feel every thought. It is either the past or it's in the future. It's never this moment, because if it is this moment, it's not a thought. It is being.
Right.
Okay? So therefore it's taking you back either to the past, which is gone, or to a future which isn't yet. So it leads always to a situation, to a state, to a being, to a something that cannot be real. do not just accept it now
Yeah.
because Burt is saying it. Feel it out, because this is so important. Because once you start to understand that, you stop indulging in thinking so much. So, yeah, what else do we need? This was beautiful that you come up with this. How does thought always leads to negativity? Because if I make a statement and I take it for granted, but if you ask it, then a lot of people will be asking it too. Okay? Yes, all thoughts become negative. Even if you think nostalgically, you think, oh, I used to have such a beautiful... Think of it this way. You're looking at pictures when you were young and you were so happy and you're having such a wonderful time and your tears come down your eyes and you're so beautiful, and then stop. And you feel your life is empty right now. Oh, how I wish I was there. You see what I mean? Right? Because, again, it is not the moment. You see? You know.
We have to be careful with that, because people think, and now they're going to go around and they're going to say, oh, I've got to stop thinking because I'm going to create negativity.
That's it. Thank you. You see why I want to hear from you? Yeah. Don't stop thinking. As a matter of fact, enjoy it. Enjoy it when you're thinking. Be aware that you're thinking. But please know that you are not the thought. That is the key. But don't stop thinking. If you try to stop thinking, your mind is going to go crazy. And you'll have more thoughts than you've ever had before. Just like say, you know, don't think about an elephant now. Right? And immediately you're thinking about an elephant now. So it's amazing. The moment you tell the mind not to do something, it will automatically do it. So the point is, if you're thinking, yes, think. But be aware that the thought is not the reality. You're not that thought. Yeah. And once it comes to the point where you realize you're not the thinker, there's such a freedom that comes with it. So freeing. My goodness.
I think that on way to that compassion is such a wonderful tool, because when we are compassionate to ourselves or love ourselves, even in the supposed struggle, the love itself is the freedom we seek. So it is like...
That is correct.
It is like a secret doorway.
Yeah. Did you ever hear of Dr. Kinslow? He's a German chiropractor, and he had an awakening experience, and he wrote a book called The Secret of Healing. He also talks about quantum living. Anyway, and he said that pure awareness has a you feeling.
Yes,
It's called a you feeling. It's a German word. I think it is because he's German. He calls it you feeling, the pure awareness. Now, so you feeling means think of all the beautiful states you can think of. Feeling high, feeling happy, feeling ecstatic, feeling joyful, feeling fulfilled, feeling peaceful, feeling this. All that is a you feeling. So pure awareness are these things itself, you see? So when you become aware of everything that is going on, you don't stop anything, like you said. Now people are going to try to stop thinking because they're thinking that thinking is bad, and then before the moment they try to stop thinking, they're going to go crazy. Because you can't stop thinking. You know?
I'm going to get lots of letters next week.
So the point is that you're not the thoughts. Thoughts come from... Many people say, you know, but the brain was thinking this. No, the brain doesn't think. I love because I get a kick from many of the letters I get, you know. And they're beautiful people, though. It's amazing how it's happened. We are in the fifth dimension now, you know, Earth. And so if we don't change with the Earth, we're going to feel the changes in the body. Have any of you been experiencing a DNA shift in your body?
Yeah.
Like palpitations of the heart, dizzy spells, aching body, but it doesn't last.
I felt
because the body's going through a change. Was that?
I know that was getting older, Bert. No.
No, one time I went to 3 days, and I was with Sylvia at the time too, when we were watching an Abraham Lincoln movie, and all of a sudden my heart started going like this right through my chest. I didn't want to tell her because she'll think I'm having a heart attack, you know. And but I wasn't pleased with it, you know. At that moment I didn't know it was a DNA shift, and it was pretty bad, and I could hardly breathe, and my heart would stop a few seconds at a time. So I thought, but I would never go to a doctor, you know, because I know that eventually either it heals or I die, which in case I'm always am anyway. So, and then 3 days later it stopped. You know, the heart was back to normal. Take my pulse, it's normal, and I put my running shoes on, and I went for a run from here to the library, and I ran fast, and I couldn't even get tired. It's just like a whole, and then I knew that a shift had taken place, you know, and so it's quite nice to remember, because the earth itself is in the fifth dimension now, functioning on that. The earth is a living.
And what does that mean, it's functioning in the fifth dimension?
Was that?
What does it mean that it's functioning in the fifth dimension? What are the repercussions?
Oh, briefly is this. Third dimension is made up of what we call width, height, and depth. Everything is solid, everything is material, everything is real, the world is real. And black is black, white is white, good and bad. People who do criminal act, they should be killed, and they should be punished. And anyway, we think in terms of good and bad, right and wrong, very, very strongly. And then we move to the fourth dimension. Fourth dimension took place after the World War II, and the fourth dimension, and that's in the 60s when there was a lot of hippies and revolution, sexual revolution, spiritual revolution, make love, not war. And those changes were very strong in the fourth dimension. Now we moved in the fifth dimension in 2003, the year 2003, and the earth shifted. Now don't forget that the earth, very few people know this, the earth is a living being, you see. So when you begin to understand that, you know, the earth is a living being, you never feel alone, you know. You can go out and talk to the flowers, talk to the trees, talk to nature. You know, everything is a living being. And so now the earth is changing tremendously, but if people do not keep up with that change, who knows what's going to happen. You know that George Bush tore up the arms treaty, and so it gave power for the whole world to have nuclear weapons of mass destruction, you know what I mean? And so now you might say, well, how come that so many people are against the states? Why not blow it up? Because maybe, I won't mention what country, but there are many people that hate these states. But the reason it doesn't happen, because there are energies. Earth itself is one of them, is looking to keep balance, you see?
But there's so much conflict now.
There's a lot of conflict, but the conflict is reaching ahead. See, there's so many people that are waking up. Oh,
it's amazing.
My goodness.
Yeah. So it can change in an instant.
Oh, yes, yes. For every awakened person, it amounts to about 100 ignorant people. Oh, yes, yes. It's a tremendous amount, yeah.
It's like the polarities are getting more extreme.
Yes, yes. But that's part of the change, you see? Yeah, yeah.
The coldest part of the day is before the sun comes up.
Yeah. No, we're living in beautiful times, actually. Who knows? We might reach a point where, because the body is so fluid, the body is so spiritual, that we might enter a state. I'm not just my idea, okay? Because I had a meditation where I felt I entered another dimension, but I felt that I could keep on living forever, never dying. and the body would go through a shift, to a change, because right now things are shifting, and when the body changes with the shift, becomes more fluid, more etherealized. What is the word? More
Fluid? Fluid?
yeah, it's not as solid, you know. So there's a
More spaciousness.
more spacious. Ramana Maharshi said that we have 7 bodies, you see, you know, and so we go into a finer and finer and finer form all the time, you know. Anyway, it's all interesting. You don't have to accept everything that I've said, but just see that everything is possible once you start realizing who you are. You are very beautiful. Okay, namaste.
Namaste.